All right, I'm continuing this series here. I've got a bit more interesting geometry to share, and I thought I'd try to do a couple of things here at the same time. The other one is I've made some upgrades to the Renaissance classical style work table, and so that's what this video is about. And I guess before I get to the actual table part, I just made a bit of a holder here out of some pieces of leftover material, some cutoffs and stuff like that. And the other one was, so one of the additions I made was this thing, which is half of one of these kinds of things. I cut it in half, and that was the last bit of this kind of, I think I got one little strip left or something, but this perforated kind of steel I threw on there. That ended up turning out pretty good. On the back, just use another little piece of wood and tried to give it a bit of a type of a French curve, just to break up some of the monotony of the blockish looking things. Same thing on here. I tried to go for a bit of a French style curve on the back and a little decorative thing in there. And yeah, it's just something simple, but I thought it kind of worked well with this. The other, so that was that, and that was this one. So I got a bit more room for keeping stuff. That one was the first one. Then I added this little piece on here. That actually came off a real piece of tree, and it's just a quick little space to have a holder for a compass and or a pen, pencil, something like that. So that was another little piece that I added on. By the way, in case somebody was wondering what that hinge up there was, that was just, it was a half of an old cheap hinge, which I just needed a metal plate there for things that are magnetic to stick to, be it a magnetic light or anything, that has a magnet on there. I needed a metal plate for that. The other thing I did was I simply just put a little screw in the back here, and that holds the protractor. So I've added a bit of a storage feature to that. And on the bottom, behind here, I've got a storage for a couple of these rulers. They just kind of slide out like that. And they're just pieces of plexi cutoffs I had that just fit in there, and there's just enough room in there to slide a couple things in there. A couple of straight edges, rulers and stuff like that. And that's all you need. It's just a couple little pieces like that, and you can get your hand in between and just easily take them out of there when you need it. The other thing I did was I decided to make this on here with different spacings on here, so it'll keep this at this angle, whatever working angle that you're comfortable with. Instead of buying a bracket, I thought, hey, let's just make something kind of simple, but yet functional. And it's actually pretty strong. So it was just a couple of dowels, and just used another piece of a kind of a cutoff and made that. So you can see there's different spacings in there. and that's what that part is. So that's one way, unless you have another idea in mind, or you actually want to go buy a nice bracket or something. I just thought of doing it that way. The other thing I did was I added this section on the bottom, which is, you can see here, I actually went and bought 2 more hinges. That's what I needed to do that, to attach this to. And that was another old painting canvas frame attached to a piece of plywood, like that. And then what you can do is you can open the whole thing up so it stands up like a table if you need it to be a table. And once again, that's why I had those extra spacings, so when that is open at a 90, there'll be a notch in there to hold that on that side. And there's another one I've made on that side, so when it's open in a kind of a table, there's a little bracket there that I made, and just use those kind of dowels. It'll work the same way as those. And so that's it. It's just, it'll just open up like that. In case you're wondering what I'm talking about. And these will be the 2 ends that it stands on. And so when you open it into a 90, you just put your brackets on the 2 sides, and should be strong enough. I mean, it's not like a table for you're going to be putting a lot of pressure on or something like that, just in case. I don't know. I thought it was an extra kind of neat option to have. And the bottom part helps too, because now I've got somewhere nice to position this as I move it, back and forth to whatever kind of angle I need. And so those are the add-ons I've done, and that's what I've thought of so far. And okay, I'm going to get to the geometry bit here. Oh, I almost forgot. There was one other thing. And I did buy a couple of cheap rulers, and I decided to make my own kind of drafting tee. It's really simple. Nothing fancy. And the other thing I need to do is, this is not perfect, in terms of its 90 angles. And it's off by a hair in a couple places. And, when I'll do that later. I've made it in such a way that I can take it apart and refine it and finish it, fine tune it after. Hopefully, in the near future, I'll have a workspace and stuff like that. All right, so that's the other thing I made. Yeah, I just thought while I was at it, I thought of making a tee there. A drafting tee or something like that. Poor man's architect drafting tee or something. Okay, so here's the geometry part. And similar to the stuff that I've been working on, this is a continuation from the tribute to Matthaus, Merian, the Elder. And once again, I'm starting with this geometrical, this foundational geometrical arrangement. And for this one, I don't need the circle, but I did need the triangle and the square. So that's how I started this one. And just to give you a brief overview of the other ones, which are pretty much the same thing. You start off with that foundational geometry symbol. There was a couple of others that I had not shared yet, but just an interesting way of showing the same thing, essentially, with a couple of other kind of details in there. And that was that one I went over last time. And this is the one that I did most recently. So starting with the triangle and the square, and with the same way, I found the other information by getting that measurement for the 51.42 71485, and then where am I here? Oh, to show that I have to turn it that way. Okay. And then you mark it up from the center horizontal to there, and you get your 51.42 angle there, which are on each of those corners. The top is a 77.14, I believe. But now, as I've shown in the last one, where you get the pentagon, and when you fill it out, this time, in this version, you might say, it's a bit different, but essentially the same, where the bottom of it, okay, ends up going through those two 51.42 angles right there. And that will give you 3 out of the 7 sides of a 7-sided polygon. Once you have from there, right where the bottom of that pentagon goes through those 2 sides, from there to there, once you have that measurement, you just take that to the 2 sides, and then that gives you 3 out of the 7 of a 7-sided polygon. And then you can just get the rest, because you know the distance between 2 points, and you know the distance between the distance between how do you say this? The distance between the 2 wider points and the distance between the 2 closer points. And you just mark them that way from the stuff you already have, which was basically you have 1, 2, 3, 4 points there already. And then you take, where's it? From there to there, and then mark that like this. And you take the measurement from the side and mark it there, and that gives you that. Then when you get that, then you can get the rest, and it's really easy that way. So what's interesting here is just like the other ones, where the top is a 108 angle, the top is a 108 angle. And this one, with the 7 that comes off of the base of the pentagon, its tip lines up exactly in that same point at where the 108 and the 40 and the 60 converge. And I thought that was really interesting. So that's what's going on in this one. I'll just pause it there for a sec. And also, the part in the heptagon, when you connect a line from that point to that point, is exactly also the top of that triangle. So that's really interesting. There, lots of other things are having a unique symmetry here. And so other than that, everything else is the same. You know, the 40-degree angle, the 108, and if you draw that triangle in there, you'll get it. I just put that one in there to show you because that's the one I needed. And I showed you how I got the 7, right? And how it connects to the 5. And both, or all of those other, tips of those triangles, they converge at the same point. That's really neat. So I just thought I'd show you this step first. And here's one where it has just more symmetry to it. I've done one, both halves, the top and the bottom. So you now have the 108, the 40, and of course a 60 will fit in there as well. And the angle of a heptagon, which is 128.85. And basically, I just kept the part that I needed from the two triangles. I just kept that part there. I thought it looked nice. And same here with the middle. And in fact, you don't even need the square here. That's just there to give you the visual on that and how I got there. So if this looks kind of cool to me, and it's got some unique geometric symmetry going on. That's why I shared it. Yeah, you can erase the square and the other parts that you don't want in there if you happen to like this as a just as a geometrical visual type of thing. So that's the continuation of the Matthaus, Merian, the Elder, and to this whole series that I've been doing with foundational geometry symbols. And I'll just kind of pan out one more time. You can get a look at the other part, the Renaissance classical style work table. I mean, for me, it's more of a geometry table, but you can use it for writing. You can use it for drafting. The smaller stuff. It's not like a full-size architect table, but as somebody informed me on one of my other videos, he or his wife made something similar, and they were using it to make tapestry and stuff like that. So it's a really functional, very practical and functional, rather ingenious, ingenuity they had a few hundred years ago. And I've always just admired its aesthetics. And of course, I could always imagine how functional and practical it would be as well. And so that's what kind of motivated me to actually make one. And that's that. Yeah. Okay, that's it for this one.